Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is going to be a video covering the new Crinear Meta. This is Crinical's first drop, I believe, from his own brand. And I need to emphasize right now that this is limited to 500 serialized units. I wanted to get this video done before the budget video because the embargo is lifting. And if anybody's interested in this, you need to know that these, I presume, are going to go very, very quickly. I think this is going to be a successful drop. It is a really great and fantastic IEM. The one thing that I do want to highlight first is the overall build. The design here, you can see that black faceplate, the black full metal chassis, looks super classy and elegant, mixed with the rose gold outline here on the faceplate. And you do have a bit of branding, Meta and Crinear on the faceplate itself. The diameter of the nozzle, I do want to highlight that the chassis is very ergo in its curvature, and anybody who struggles to find comfort with IEMs, these are on the smaller side and very lightweight. So anybody who wants to use these for a long duration of time, you're going to get a really nice comfort factor here, especially with the nozzle only being 5.8 millimeters in diameter. It's not wide, it's also not long. You can see it's got a 2-pin connection and it comes with a really nice cable for this price point. It is a copper cable and it is lightweight and also has a really nice texture and a really nice braid to it. It does come with this Pelican looking case as well, a super heavy duty case at this price point, and silicone tips and foam tips. And just so you guys know, I have not tested this IEM with the foam tips yet. And that could impact my overall rankings in game for the better. And if it does, I will update you guys in a updated comment or a community post on YouTube. Now, the Crinear Meta IEM, I do find this to have a similar tuning to the Dunu Brain Dance. I do find it just off memory being a bit warmer than the Dunu Brain Dance. I find this to be a IEM that the main elevation, the main focal point would be the sub bass. The sub bass has great extension and it's got this good hit to it. It's got a really nice punch to it, more punch than something like a Volume S, more punch to it than something like a Yanyan Cannon 2. The sub bass to me has great technicality. It feels airy and also something that feels with the amount of it, although not crossing into that threshold of like bass head territory, it is almost there. And just, again, great technicality. I think it's the star of the show here. And you do get a great element of sub bass impact in game as well. And that may detract from some things. We'll get into it in a little bit. But overall, I do have to flesh out as well that the mid-range here is, although maybe not the focal point compared to the sub bass, in my opinion, very technical. Timbre is fantastic, and it just remains kind of more along like transparent neutrality that just remains very nice and technical in a music listening session. And when powered adequately, I do find like the vocals are right there, but some tracks the vocals can sound a little bit recessed compared to the sub bass region. And as far as treble, I do find there's a lot of detail and technicality there. It's a very resolving IEM, particularly at this price point, but maybe not as much air feeling as the Dunu Brain Dance. That does translate into a bit of a different scoring than the Dunu Brain Dance from a competitive perspective in game. Moving to Valorant, the Crinear Meta is just amazing. It sounds so immersive. I literally feel like I'm in the game. It's exceptionally resolving, and the presentation, again, a little bit of that warmth, the soundstage being somewhat close, the imaging feeling quite holographic on this set in Valorant. The only issue is, so it gets high marks in all of those regards. Like the horizontal pull when somebody's about to come out from cover and be in line of sight, it helps your prediction. It helps kind of getting a sense of pre-fire when somebody's about to come out from behind a wall. That's how good the horizontal imaging can be. Depth perception sounds fantastic. The things that are happening around the map, the gunfire, you get a great sense of this read of how far and where something is happening on around the map. The only issue is because of this warmth, because of that boom in the bass, which still stays clean in terms of its overall sound. The only issue is it can envelop you. So if you're spraying a Vandal, if somebody's about to take an angle on you, you're losing out on some of those footsteps. The soundstage could be a little bit more dissipated with a little bit more air to have that gunfire, that bloom kind of dissipate a little bit better. The separation and layering is something that takes a hit in Val. But let's say you are pushing a bomb site and you have people around you either shooting an operator, using abilities, grenade going off, people spamming Vandals. It's just something that will feel as though it is becoming a little bit too occlusive. When things are calm and you're listening around the map, the imaging is fantastic. Again, it feels exceptionally immersive. It's just there's too many instances of things that you'll find yourself doing frequently, like shooting a Vandal or shooting an operator, shooting a sheriff. There's just a little bit too much that will cover up some of the lighter things within the mix. So exceptionally good for gaming purposes, going to score high. I think, though, because of that separation with some of the more frequent audio cues, I would probably put it in Valorant at a B+ to a B. Exceptional score, and in IEM that sounds fantastic, and again is immersive, is the best way I can describe the Crinear Meta in Valorant in particular. The Crinear Meta in Apex, I think, actually fares better than it does in Valorant, which is surprising. Usually it is the opposite. But in Apex Legends, I actually find these to be particularly good with respect to separation and layering. Even moving into 3 strikes with a lot going on, I was able to pick up a lot of the gunfire and precise depth perception as fights were coming in at different angles, even while I was engaged in a fight. With ultimates going on, the storm behind my back, I didn't find the separation to take much of a hit. It still does take a hit. I think something like the Mangird Tea Pro, again, that has a stage that feels a little bit off of you, more so than the Crinear Meta. It does help in those instances, but I still found the Crinear Meta to handle actually very well. So again, the things that stand out to me, the overall imaging, the depth perception, and the separation and layering are actually at a level that I would recommend these for Apex Legends. If you're looking for something that is on the warmer side, and something that handles gunfire actually very well with respect to in Apex not being harsh, not being shouty, something that is actually quite controlled when you're cracking into armors, when grenades are going off. You don't have this sense of harshness, which can be something that happens when you move to something that feels a little bit more airy and open with the stage off of you a little bit, and something that is more maybe neutral than it is warm. I would say, like, the thing that I noticed is moving into just a traditional pub instead of 3 strikes, when you are really focusing on just a 3v3 or adding in a second party, so 3v3v3, when there is a lot going on, when you are in a building, hearing that verticality and hearing the footsteps, the like lighter thocks that are happening above you, it does take a hit a little bit. It becomes a little bit harder to hear those slides. I wish some of the lighter things popped up a little bit more when, let's say, a Jibby ult or a Bangalore ult is going on in build fights in general, in building fights in general. I would say, like, in the open environment, again, like, it is exceptionally good hearing the gunfire with precise depth of everything that is happening around me, even when I'm engaged on a fight. So it's very easy to keep track of the 3 people I'm fighting, and then being able to instantly swap to another party at a distance with a very good precise angle and precise depth read. I would say shield cells are also very well controlled when you're popping cells or batteries. It's not this bright, tingy, shouty. It's a very controlled cell pop. So when you are micromanaging your health, it is very easy to hear those things around you, which I think is a important feature as well. That's something that other IEMs do detract from the overall detail retrieval when the harshness is too high for that region of popping even a med pack or a syringe. To illustrate a few really good things with the Crinear Meta in a very hectic endgame on 3 strikes, it is extremely important to be able to hear and keep track of multiple teams above me, but then as I'm getting shot, to quickly rotate my crosshair directly on that audio cue is very important. It cuts down the time of how much damage they're doing to me by pressuring them to back off, and also being able to keep track of everything with the storm behind my back, as well as where additional people are through their audio cues, shooting and sliding around the map. Also allows me to pay attention to when it is I will finally have an opportunity to quickly get off a heal to micromanage my health. Moving into Call of Duty, it's a very similar experience to Valorant. Like, I feel so immersed into the space. As soon as you even get into the plane and you're about to come out, I mean, you just feel like you're in the game. It is really that immersive. And in Call of Duty, there are things that unfortunately kind of detract again from that separation and layering when you have a team. If you're playing quads and you have like a team of 4 or even 3 guys or 2 guys pushing you that are shooting, you begin to get cracked, and you have those sound effects like you're bleeding out, basically. It begins to get a little too occlusive. The separation layering take a hit. Again, a really nice resolving immersive experience, but one that has great depth perception around the map, great imaging and things like that, but just too much of a separation and layering detraction here that it really places it for Rebirth, for Resurgence at around a B. So a little bit lower than I think the Brain Dance scored, and that could just be a multitude of factors, but just not enough there to kind of dissipate some of the audio cues and gunfire and explosions, things like that, especially, again, as you're under fire and you're getting that audio effect as though you're injured in the game. It's just a little bit too much. But overall, again, the imaging is there, and again, a very immersive experience. So that is all I've tested so far. The Dunu Braindance scored very similarly, has somewhat of a similar graphing until you get to the upper region. I would say for CS2, this is probably a tuning that would fare very well. For CS2, the Dunu Braindance scored high, and I feel, again, just going off memory, this is a little bit warmer with great imaging. So I would think that it would be pretty good in CS2. I haven't tested yet. When I do come back to these over the weekend, I will test the foam tips and I will get them into CS2 and update you guys on how the foam tips sound and may affect the score. So right now I am comfortable placing this at a B+. Again, for some titles, it borders an A-, and for others, it borders a B. So right around comfortable at that B+ on the wallhack certified tier list. I think Crin is doing a pretty damn awesome job already out of the gate. I think this is going to be a hit for a lot of people, particularly for a music listening experience, just an immersive and intimate sounding IEM for a multitude of applications. That is going to be it for this one, guys. I hope it helped. If it did, please leave a sub to the channel. See you guys in the next review. Peace.